Okay, I think we're recording. Hi, Arlene.
Hi, how are you, Naomi?
Very good. It's good to see you. We're both kind of rookies at this, but it's fun to try this out together.
Yes, yes.
Tell me your role at Defend Dignity.
I am the coordinator of research and corporate advocacy at Defend Dignity, and I've been with Defend Dignity since 2013.
Okay, wonderful. That's quite a while.
Yeah, yeah. We've
Good. Now
seen
you
lots
guys
of
just,
growth and changes.
no kidding. And even
Yeah.
more change in the last year. Congratulations on an incredible e-summit that you guys just finished with record attendance.
Yes, yes, thank you. Yeah, it was amazing. We had over 1,200 people registered. We had speakers from around the world. We had participants from around the world, and we're going to talk about something here, and people were super involved in it in the summit.
Yeah, it's so good. And that kind of was thanks to COVID because if it were an only in-person conference, most of us would not have been able to participate.
Yes, so it was, yes, at first it was like, oh my goodness, this is a big change, but in the end, it turned out to be wonderful, and so many more people were able to participate, and we had amazing speakers, as I said, from around the world. And if people are interested, they can still get all of the recordings by going to defenddignity.ca, that's our website, and to our shop, and you can still purchase access to all those recordings. There was some amazing sessions. I would encourage people to check that out.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, I was hoping that information would still be available because it's a shame if it just gets kind of filed somewhere. And yeah, that is just rich resources.
Yes, yes, really, and so many different perspectives. And particularly it was focusing on the demand side of the equation of sexual exploitation, which is, an aspect that often doesn't get looked at or discussed, but really it is the driver. It's the physical driver, but it's also the financial driver of sexual exploitation. And money is a huge piece of all kinds of sexual exploitation. So.
Absolutely. And speaking of money, Redeemed was a sponsor, and I noticed that you're wearing your bangles.
And my necklace, my dignity necklace. Yep. Thank you for these were made for us, so that was great. Yeah.
I just had to throw that in there. Okay, so let's get down to
no,
this.
I love these. I love these. I just got them.
Great. Looks great on you. Okay, so you just launched your Choose Change campaign for, is this year number 5?
Yes, year number 5. Yes.
And
yeah.
So people would have already seen the Choose Change campaign video. Now I wanted to talk a little bit further about the 6 companies that you chose. Why these 6 companies?
Well, we each year we choose 6 companies, or usually 5, but we had 6 because 2 of them were kind of together. And we try to choose companies kind of from a variety of spectrums. I guess I should back up just a little bit and say, in terms of Choose Change, that campaign really focuses on looking at the harms of pornography. So the pornography part of sexual exploitation. And the reason that we chose to focus on pornography was because we know that it is often the gateway, the driver, the beginning of all other kinds of sexual exploitation. If people are trafficking other people, often they're using pornography, or the buyers have used pornography and now they want to purchase someone to do what they've seen, all of these kinds of things. So that is the basis of Choose Change. We look at what is the role of pornography and the harms of pornography to society in general. It's so affordable, accessible, but it changes people's sexual templates. It changes our attitudes and our values around equality of persons. And so it's really something that we have to look at. And so this was our way of trying to engage the corporate sector. Choose Change really focuses on the corporate sector. We have many campaigns that focus on the government side of things, and certainly would encourage everyone to go to Defend Dignity and check that out too. But pornography is so much woven into our culture that we needed companies and organizations that are a part of our community, part of our culture, to really look at what is their role, either wittingly or unwittingly, in helping promote pornography or make it more accessible. So that's really what Choose Change focuses on, is reducing the ease of access to these pornographic images, so that they're not popping up on our screens, or we're not, it's not happening when we're not even looking for it. And especially our children, we're particularly, I mean, it's harmful to everyone, but we're particularly concerned where children, when children are involved. So I can talk about that a bit later, about some of the successes that we've had with that as well.
Sure, sure. Why don't you tell us quickly about each company?
Sure. So we, and you asked, how did we choose them? We choose them across the spectrum. And this year particularly, we had a lot of input from our partners. And in fact, you helped us identify a couple of these potential groups. Last year, we had focused on mostly social media platforms, because we knew we did a real big switch like everybody else in March and April, and said, oh, we're all going to be at home on social media. So we did that. But this year we're going to kind of go back to our original vision of looking at a wide variety. So the first one that we are targeting, and that is certainly connected to you and our international partner Collective Shout that we've been working with for a couple of years, is asking Etsy to take out, they have incest themed, it's just awful. Incest themes items for sale. So it's supposed to be handmade and unique, but it's these factory produced awful things that, I mean, and you can certainly go to our website and look, we have pictures of what they're selling. They're selling child sex dolls. And the reason that we are so concerned that Etsy is doing this is because it begins to normalize incest, and it makes children so much more vulnerable to sexual exploitation. It sexualizes children, which then makes them a target for predators. But what it also does is change people who wouldn't normally even think of children as sexual objects. It starts to change their thinking. And that's what we find is one of the insidious harms of pornography, is it sexualizes people and things that we wouldn't normally have sexualized, and puts them at risk for sexual abuse. So we're asking them to just take this stuff off. It doesn't belong on a site, a homemade site, or a handmade items site at all. It's all mass produced, and it's very harmful.
Yeah, well, I stumbled upon it a couple of times from different vendors, and it was all of a sudden, Etsy felt like I'm on this dirty porn site that's selling these terrible incest themes. They were very blunt, very forward. It wasn't even, there was nothing left to the imagination. It was very, very crude. And I was very upset by them. And as you know, I switched platforms. However, they're still selling, they're still making money. And I hate the fact that they do it so secretly, that the millions of vendors who are on there that are legit are basically supporting a company that is profiting off the incest of children. I mean, that is, they need to be called out. So I'm so glad that they made your list.
Yes. So yes, and we appreciate you and our, like I say, our international partner that helped us identify that. Another one is Clique Hotels, and again, that was one we had talked to Fairmont Hotels, which I think is an iconic thing in Canada. We often try to focus on companies that are headquartered or have a fairly major presence in Canada, and they are still having pornography on their video on demand in their rooms. And you had contacted them, we had contacted them, and their response was, it's our third-party provider. We're like, well, then fix your third-party provider. Like so many hotels, Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott, all these big names, they've all said, we're not going to profit from sexual exploitation any longer. We're not going to have pornography in our rooms. And so it's shocking that that's still happening. So there is, Clique is one of our focus organizations this year. And on that page, if you go to the Choose Change website and you click on Clique, we also have what we're calling our no vacancy for exploitation campaign where you can print a pledge, a hotel pledge. And basically it's saying, you know, anytime that I book a hotel room, I'm going to make sure that the hotel chain I'm booking with does not provide pornography on demand.
Yeah.
And again, you know, one of the big genres in pornography is teen. And so again, it's sexualizing children and opening them up to to predation.
Yeah.
So it's terrible. Yeah, we really need to encourage all hotel chains. So we've chosen one this year to not have pornography anymore as part of their customer service or client services. It's like, you don't need this as a client service.
Yeah.
It's not a service, it's actually a disservice to your community.
Yeah, we need to change the culture. We need to change the language.
Yes.
A lot of things used to be accepted, but doesn't mean that they were okay. And now I think the spotlight really is on pornography and the companies that are really silent benefactors.
Yes, yes, profiting from that, right? I mean, they're getting a cut of whatever people are paying. And so that's why we decided we needed to focus on corporations, because they're such a big part of culture and they're shapers of cultures and they're responders to culture. And, you know, we all go to hotels. We will again anyway soon.
Yeah.
We buy online from places like Etsy. And I think that's one thing that I would like to say to the folks who are listening is how we spend our money is also a powerful statement. So we need to be sure that the organizations where we're spending our money are, you know, what is their response? Are they at least making an effort around sexual exploitation? So, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, mention the credit card companies now.
Yes. So another group that we're looking at is MasterCard and Visa. They are two of the biggest credit cards in Canada. There are obviously others, but they're the two biggest ones. And people may or may not have heard that our federal government has been looking into a pornography website called Pornhub, which is one of the biggest porn sites in the world, millions and millions and millions of visits every day, headquartered in Montreal, our biggest awful secret. Yeah. And so there's been tons of sexual exploitation that's been filmed and uploaded to this site, and people pay for their memberships through MasterCard and Visa. People pay for their advertising on the site. About half of the income of Pornhub comes from advertisers. And so what we're saying to MasterCard and Visa is you need to cut off this profit of, you know, pipeline that's coming from sexual exploitation, and particularly on the advertiser. So for example, Pornhub has an advertising website called Traffic Junkie. So we're saying, you know, cut your ties with Traffic Junkie. Cut your ties with Pornhub, cut your ties with the larger company that owns Pornhub called MindGeek, that owns so many porn sites. And then there are obviously other porn sites. There's another one that's come across our radar called Chaturbate, where you chat or bait, I'll let you fill in the blank there. And there has been many, many, many reports of, it's a camming website. So children being exploited on webcams, and people pay for those tokens with MasterCard and Visa. So now MasterCard did respond in April, March, and they introduced stronger content guidelines saying that banks that were going to process payments on their payment system had to ensure that the content on the sites that they were paying for, so these pornography websites, everyone in the video had consented to that, which is great. But that, I think, only addresses half of the problem, because half of the money comes from advertising. So we want them to enforce that, because it can be difficult to enforce. It's good to have that policy and to make that statement, but then you have to enforce it. So how are they going to enforce it? And also, how are they going to cut off the pipeline of profit from advertising? So both those things. So that's why MasterCard, even though they've made great strides, they've responded. We've had conversations from people, from MasterCard folks in Canada, it's not just us, it's a national group that approached them, and then an international group that has approached MasterCard and Visa.
Yeah.
So what we're doing in Choose Change is really part of a much bigger effort,
Yeah.
and also a bigger international effort to hold porn sites accountable, that they have had all of this sexual exploitation, this non-consensual
Yeah.
child sexual abuse material on them, and they need to be held accountable for that.
Yeah.
So those are why we've focused on them.
Yeah. So Instagram and TELUS.
So I'll start with TELUS. TELUS was another one where a partner came forward and said, you know, I think we should talk to this organization. We had focused on a different internet service provider previously. And what we're asking TELUS to do as an internet service provider in Canada is to filter pornography right at the internet service provider level before it comes into our home. So parents and people don't have to try to figure out what's this filter and what's this thing I need to turn on and turn off. It's like, that's not our job. That's your job as the internet service provider. Shut it off. And if people want access, then they should go through all the steps to get the access. Like, make it, I mean, obviously, if people want access, then and they can turn that back on. So
another issue.
But
I didn't know they could do that.
In the UK. Sorry?
I didn't know TELUS would have that much power to withhold certain websites.
They already do. They already do. There's already a watch list of illegal sites, which are child sexual abuse material sites, even though there's lots of child sexual abuse material getting through. So they could. And in the UK, they have done that. The government and the internet service providers worked together. And so they filter it at the internet service provider level.
Wow.
And yeah, so and again, it was driven by a concern for children, because children were getting addicted to pornography.
Yeah.
The other negative thing of children being exposed to pornography, first, their brains aren't developed enough to make those kind of distinctions that we might think.
Yeah.
But they become addicted, and then there has been a meteoric rise in child-on-child sexual abuse because 13, 14, 15-year-olds are watching this pornography online and then acting it out on younger children. And so we need to protect people until their brains are developed enough to make these kind of decisions for themselves.
Yeah.
So they can, and in the UK, there was an ISP provider that filtered it and, you know, gave people the option to have it come through. And they said 70% of people just left it on, and they got very positive feedback from their customers. Thank you. And I think parents would say thank you too to an internet service provider that wouldn't lay that burden on them to try to figure out how to filter pornography. You know, they're the tech experts. They can help us do that with this service that we're purchasing from them. So that's the other thing. We're purchasing this service from them.
Yeah.
So they do, you know, TELUS does offer some filtering, but you have to figure it out. We just would like them to do it, and then the people who want it be able to figure out how to open that back up.
I would even pay more to have it filtered.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
So, that you didn't have to figure out all the toggles.
Oh yeah. That just would take such a burden off of families. This is one of my biggest fears in life and worries for my children. We talk about it all the time, but it's still, I know it's a matter of when they will stumble on pornography, not if, but it's a matter of when.
Right. And so I just think, you know, what can we do, and what can corporations do that have that expertise? And the other thing too is, you know, in your house, you might have a filter, right? But when they step outside and they get on the data on their phone,
right?
Well, then that filter is useless. So, you know, so if it's filtered right at the source where it's coming out, no matter what device you're on, so what device you've enacted filters on, or if they're on, you know, 3G or 4G or 5G, there is still some protection. So there are good reasons to really look at this.
Yes. Have you had any response from TELUS?
No.
Oh.
We did get a response from the previous company, and they were, you know, concerned about regulatory things and privacy things. But I feel like our government has been moving to look at the harms of pornography more actively through different policies and regulators. So I hope that we will have a positive response from them. And like
Oh,
I say,
man.
they do have some features that you can turn on, but again, it's laying the burden, I think, where it doesn't belong on parents trying to figure all of that out, whereas they have that expertise. So.
And would TELUS lose money if, like, say they had to do this filter? Would they lose money?
I don't think so. Again, you know, just jumping off the example in the UK, it seemed like they actually got great customer feedback. And I feel like there would be many parents like yourself that would be like, thank you, thank you, thank you, that I don't, you know, I have some sense of comfort about that this is going to protect my kids
Yes.
and me, right? I don't want to see that stuff either.
Yeah, and neither do most of our husbands. And
Yeah.
like they're fighting a battle too, and we need to support them. So yeah, I think it would be great for schools, for organizations, businesses, churches, like, I mean, you name it. It is such a just such a temptation for so many people who are just without accountability in that moment or whatever. There's so many reasons, but yeah. Okay, last one is Instagram. Seems like a no-brainer, but why don't you tell us what's happening?
Well, we've Instagram has been on our list, was on our list last year. We've been part of an international group that's been working with Instagram for, I think, 2 years, just trying to encourage them to continue to increase their child safety stuff and safety for everyone and their robust reporting. And so they have made strides. They have, they've improved their reporting. They have improved their direct messaging. So now minors are not being able to be direct messaged by people who they don't follow and who don't follow them, because predators were and are using it to target people, vulnerable people.
Yeah.
There's tons of pornography on Instagram. And again, you know, our children are looking, maybe they're on a hashtag, maybe they're going from this account to that account, and boom, there it is. So we've been talking to Instagram about, you know, how can you moderate this better? How can you moderate this better? How can we, you know, the people who are searching for people to exploit, how can we stop that? Yeah. But then they announced recently that they are planning to make an Instagram for under 13s.
I know.
So 13 to 18-year-olds were already an issue for us. We really, like, kids, there are so many reasons that kids under 13 shouldn't be on social media.
Yeah.
There's, you know, first of all, again, their brain development is not at a place where they can sort some of those reality, non-reality things out. It's potentially quite addictive to them. Like, I read one thing where, you know, they get on social media and they can't let it go, and I'm guilty of that at my age, and so they're sleep deprived. The bullying things, and you know they're going to be targeted by at least advertisers, and
their body.
So, like, why are we monetizing childhood? That's what it feels like, that we're monetizing childhood. So we actually reached out to Instagram, and they responded almost immediately to our letter saying, yes, let's meet and chat about this, because we've had good conversations with their people for the last 2 years. So we're trying to find a date where we can all figure that out. So we don't have that yet, but I just want to say they've been very responsive in terms of meeting. So obviously there's more to do. And they, unfortunately, Instagram, I don't know if parents know this or not, or people know this, but Instagram was the most reported social media platform when people were reporting sexual exploitation issues with children on social media. So Instagram is where kids like to go, but Instagram is also where kids are targeted. And so please, please, please have conversations with your children about social media, about safety, about who to talk to and who not to talk to online. It's just like you wouldn't talk to certain people in real life. And if they have concerns, you know, if they see something, please, please tell an adult. Don't just let it go, because and we know, you know, that there's been tragic things that have happened to children and because of some of the things that children have done, again, because they don't see the consequences long term,
Yeah.
and they have themselves because they don't know what to do about this. So again, please have conversations with your children about pornography, about
Oh,
it's not if, it's when, the
yeah.
harms. Talk to somebody. It's not just you. And the pornography industry is targeting our children. It's not benign. It has a marketing strategy. The reason they offer the videos for free is because they know they can hook young people because their brains crave that, right? And the hormone rush, and eventually they'll become paying customers. So if they can hook them when they're 13 and 14, they're going to stay with them for life because they've become addicted at such a young age.
Like, who
It's
are
not like
these people?
hooking a 25-year-old who
Right?
has some of that discernment in their brain.
You got to wonder, who are these people? They just seem like monsters out there, like just that they would even think like this. It's really, really a terrible,
Yeah.
terrible.
And for
consequence.
example, like a Pornhub, which the executives have been called to account, although not account enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were videos there of children being abused, and they were letting them sit on their website.
Yeah.
And be downloaded and monetize them. It's
Yeah.
there's many harms. And so
Yeah.
on our Defend Dignity website, we do have a document called The Harms of Pornography. Pornography as a public health issue. Really, we've looked at it because it has such a health impact on us, mental health, physical health, social health. We really need to look at it as this broad-based problem. It's not just, we don't like this, it's a broad-based health problem.
Yeah, no, it's true. And Fight the New Drug had a really good documentary also on their website,
Yes.
but also at your summit, Brain Heart World. That was very interesting for me, and that really talked about just how pornography affects the brain. And it was just from such a scientific perspective. It was very, very interesting. But I think all parents need to watch that. And if parents are not prepared to talk to your children about pornography, they're not ready for this.
Yes. Really, the best thing you can do for your children is to delay, for sure, cell phones.
Yeah.
And even really think about how you are using your technology, but then how are children using technology? Because it pops up. It pops up, and they know, and the pornography industry knows that, right? And so your children, if you don't know that, your children are part of their marketing plan.
Yeah. Okay, we better wrap up. So just real quick, so Choose Change campaign, they can basically click on the link that we'll include below, and they can write a letter to all 6 companies within just, I think it's 2 clicks.
It is. There's a contact all button, and you just put in your name and your address, and then you hit send emails. But the other thing I really want to encourage people, if you're a Twitter person or you even have a Twitter account, please also tweet these companies. They really monitor their social media. So an email is a little more private, right? It goes to the executives, and we have sent these letters to the executives of these companies and their customer service. That's where they're going. But to be tagged on Twitter, they really pay attention. So yes, go to choosechangecanada.org, go to contact all, put it in, send the emails, send the tweets, and that's great. Yeah.
So good. Putting on the pressure. I love it. And then just to wrap up, Arlene, share with our viewers just a couple of successes or just some companies that have responded well in the past.
Yes. So we've been at this, as you said, for 5 years. We've targeted 16 different organizations, and people like the folks watching have sent thousands of emails and tweets. And one that really stands out for me is Boston Pizza. Someone tweeted and they saw it, and they got a hold of us right away and said, yes, we're going to filter the Wi-Fi in all of our corporate restaurants. And because we are a family-friendly restaurant, right? So yeah, if you look at the Wi-Fi at your favorite family restaurant, it's like, maybe it is and maybe it's not filtered. And you ask, how did we find out? Well, I went into the bathroom stalls and went on pornography sites on their filters. That's how I found out. So it's that easy.
Oh man, you're brave.
And
And so
so,
if you tried that at Boston Pizza, it would just say restricted access or
yeah,
something?
it would just say you can't get there or it's not available or something like that. Yeah.
Amazing. We got to do
So,
that at
yeah,
our church. Like every business could do that.
yes. And on that, lots of churches don't think about filtering their Wi-Fi, but they should.
Well, sure.
All public places. The
Yes.
other places that we've had a couple of, good conversations, unfortunately, we didn't get the response we wanted, was major public library systems.
Yeah, that's
People can watch pornography at your public library.
I
So
know.
I would encourage you, just go and have a conversation with your public library, your librarian, and just say, I am concerned about this access here. You wouldn't have pornography books on the shelf for people to look at, and yet I could be walking by the computer screen of someone watching pornography in the library. So we have had one library that did have filtering, and that was great. And there are a few across Canada, but lots and lots of them don't. And I just think, communities need to say, this is a broad-based health issue. We need to figure this out.
I think libraries are going to be a tough one. I've had similar conversations, and I think they feel so strongly about individual rights. And I think the problem with pornography is that enough people don't see it as a human rights crisis and also a crisis for our children. And so they think it's all about rights, and they do not want to restrict anyone's right to consume. And yeah, I hope you go for like maybe the library association, the top, whatever that is, if it exists, because yeah, it's very offensive to be able to see it, right?
Yeah, in a
Well,
library.
anybody can see it, right? And
Yeah.
librarians don't have much power.
So yeah, it certainly, that one is I would characterize it as a bit of an uphill battle, but I think, again, it's changing culture, right? We need to recognize what's happening. I just want to jump off of this and say there is also a bill in the Senate that's talking about restricting children's access to pornography, because the person who has put it forward, the senator that's put it forward, has recognized, along with a huge number of experts in the child development field, that it is so harmful to children. And so you could also go to Defend Dignity, and on the government side, tell your MP that you support those kind of bills.
Right. Great. Well, lots of ways that people can respond and take action. There's nothing more empowering than that. So thank you for making it so easy for us. Sometimes we're so lazy that it's just, if we can click it, it's, we're happy to do so. So thank you for providing this great platform, Arlene.
You're welcome. And I just want to say thank you to the people listening. It really is because people have gotten involved and done that. We do try to make it as easy as we can, but really all of us adding our voices and saying, this is not the culture I want for myself or for my family. So thank you for everybody who has taken action and will take action. It's really easy. It does take 2 clicks.
Yeah, great. Okay, thanks everyone. We'll sign off. Okay.